Hi, everyone. My name's Ronnie Brady, and I'm a third-year debater on the Tempus LD Free Resource team.
And my name is Sneka Rajasekaran, and this is our topic lecture on the Jan-Feb LD topic, States Ought to Ban Lethal Autonomous Weapons.
So first, we're going to go over what lethal autonomous weapons are, which is the main topic of this resolution. So autonomous weapon systems are lethal devices that have been empowered by the human creators to survey their surroundings. They identify potential enemy targets and independently choose to attack those targets on the basis of sophisticated algorithms. And these weapons include, but are not limited to, landmines, remote tanks, drones, and other robots. And these do not include human-driven drones. So you want to make sure that the arguments that you're running fit this definition.
Okay, so next off, definition debate. So here are just a couple of things that you might be interested in defining. So states, you might say that it does not imply specifically to the United States, but rather to every country. Another commonly defined word in the resolution is always ought. So these have, or it has multiple meanings. A, often used to indicate a moral or legal obligation, or B, it does not mean that you must use morality as a value. And then ban, this one might be an important one to define. And so you can either say it often means immediate removal of all or prohibition of further development. And you see how both of these definitions like branch out into their own kind of meanings, and you can branch out from there. But also don't feel like you must be bound to these definitions. So these are just a couple of ideas that are being thrown out, but feel free to research and come up with your own or ones that you find online.
Okay, so first we're going to go over some of the arguments on the AF side. So these are arguments for banning laws. So first we're going to go over the Asimov's 3 rules of robotics. Isaac Asimov was like a professor that got really into robotics, so he made these 3 laws. First one is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come into harm. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law, and a robot may protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So quick research on Isaac Asimov will give you a lot of cards that can be cut from articles and other scholarly works to be used as cards. And the second argument that we have prepared is the technological warfare. And it's important to differentiate between this and cyber warfare, which is computers, and technological warfare is machines. So this would apply specifically to lethal autonomous weapons. And some argue that technology has gone too far in the name of war, and this leaves killing in the hands of machines. So it's kind of like machines are taking over the planet type argument. And then the next argument is a morality argument about indiscriminate killing. So this would be really useful under a structural violence framework because it talks about how laws are more likely to kill, like there's some artworks out there about how it's more likely to kill certain race groups. And with an AI or program controlled lethal weapons, there are inherent risks. Faulty sensory equipment such as cameras or unfamiliar environments or scenarios could lead to deaths. And it's not easy to regulate or enforce UN sanctions on warfare, or something that's not alive, and military personnel could abuse autonomous weapon systems to commit crimes. Some more arguments that we have prepared that are just kind of critiquing like the overall structure of lethal autonomous weapons is that they're vulnerable to hacking. And this hacking could reprogram lethal autonomous weapons, potentially turning on civilians or friendly soldiers, and that could lead to like more deaths and the possibility of miscalculation of escalating to wars. This is really useful under like a util AF that has like an advantage of like an impact of like nuclear war or impact of like really large scale conventional wars. So if you really want to have the big impacts, this is a good argument to run, as well as accidents. Again, with miscalculation, the possibility of accidents is high. Example, a landmine detonation on a civilian or alley. I believe there's also like historical precedents of where this has happened. So doing research on where laws have been hacked or where there have been accidents with laws would be really useful for affirmative arguments. And the next 2 are examples of critiques. And if you don't know what a critique is, I encourage you to look at the Intro Progressive ARG series, and there's an intro video on critiques in there. And so the first one is the security critique, because laws embrace an idea of defense and attack towards enemies, which heightens senses of security. And the security K just says that like securitization is bad and it's making us always live in fear. And then technology K is just critiquing like machines and automation that like the world is coming to as it becomes more modern, and supportive technology dehumanizes the world and turns us into machines is the argument of this. And again, you're not limited to these arguments. These are just some few ideas.
Okay, so next up we have the negative arguments. So these are what's saying that we should not ban laws, so we should keep them, right? So the first one we have is deterrence. So they say that these laws will disincentivize war from happening. Second one is defense, where they're talking about the missile defense counterforce, and then also saying that these laws have a faster response time than humans, so they can act quicker. And then also they're more reliable because they remove the idea of bias and corruption. And then another argument under that is that it prevents humans from fighting. So we can reduce the number of soldiers that actually go to war, and there's no need to deploy human soldiers because there will be an increase of robots. And then also that modern wars have fewer deaths than previous wars, and this would just be used as correlation, not necessarily causation. And then you could argue for the status quo, saying that like these laws are not any different because there are other deadly weapons in the status quo currently, so there's no point or need to ban them. Another idea would be saying like general technology good, so saying that technology has several effects across the world and it's bad to condemn new technology. General lives, we talked about this in the previous slide, saying how laws can help save several lives and therefore like we don't have to send as many soldiers to war. And then like talked about in the AF slides about the Ks, a technology K on the neg, essentially saying that embracing technology embraces the new in forms of breaking free from older practices that were problematic.
So yeah, that's all we have, and thank you for watching.
Yeah.